Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. Hey, it's episode 312. Yes, that is correct. I am Nick Murawski, and this is a fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast. Great to have you along. We do this every Sunday night during the season, live on our Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel at 9:15. Subscribe, like the stream, all that good stuff. It really helps us out. You can find the audio absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. And if you're still listening to Chicago White Sox podcast, we do appreciate you giving us some of your time. So much amazing stuff to get to here in this episode. With me, as always, diehard Sox fan, my best friend, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, you say that such in a joking manner, like people aren't listening to White Sox content anymore. Like they've tuned it out in some way, shape, or form. I believe that's not the case. Happy Father's Day to you, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Hope everybody had a great Father's Day. Did you have on your Father's Day wish list Andrew Vaughn being traded? Was that your early Father's Day gift that Vinny gave to you? He wrapped that up and said, Daddy, here's what I got for you. It is Andrew Vaughn being shipped off to Milwaukee.
What power he would have at a young age.
Well, I mean, he is of your, of your loins. I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a lot of power.
Yeah. It's not like I actively wanted him gone. I just knew that the Sox had to move away from him.
Yeah.
When you send a guy like Andrew Vaughn down to fix things in a season where it doesn't matter, it was almost like, okay, fix things so maybe you can provide some value to us on the trade market, perhaps. I didn't see this coming. I was a little surprised by it. I was surprised that there was a taker in Milwaukee. I'm curious to see what he does. He feels like a player that would fit in Milwaukee. Doesn't he have a look to him? He has a very Wisconsin look to him. Wouldn't you say that?
like an Italian sausage or bratwurst look to him. Yeah.
He looks like he could fit right in there in the greater Milwaukee area, which I love. Milwaukee,
through like a catalog of people and faces. You go, boom, Milwaukee. That guy looks like he fits there.
Something. Kenosha, Sheboygan, love Wisconsin. I love everything, almost everything about it. It's a wonderful state. And now you've got Andrew Vaughn up in you, and that's wonderful.
Up in you. He said, and Andrew Vaughn is now up in you. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Good for you, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We're going to get to more on the Andrew Vaughn thing. It's kind of a big deal when you think about the overall perspective of it, and what remains from just a few years ago, and and historically, where do you put Andrew Vaughn in terms of just busts, bad draft picks? We'll unpack that in a little bit. Hello to Sydney, Scott, Sean. Thank you, Howard. Oh, so wonderful to have you all with us here. And yes, happy Father's Day to you, Pat, and everybody else out there. Happy Father's Day to the Sod father, who had a nice day off, unless he was at the ballpark trying to fix up everything that those crazy Catholics did to the field on Saturday. Who knows?
What per se would the Catholics have done to the field?
We had the Pope Mass.
The Mass. I mean, was it like a rager? It's like what do you mean? What were the Catholics doing?
There was stuff on the infield. They had to do
was it like a disco demolition, but only Catholic style?
I would have to say, anytime the White Sox approach Roger Bossard and say, hey, something's happening on this field, it's not baseball related, just heads up. You got to think that he is just on edge.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to do? What's happening here? What does my crew have to be prepared for? I don't know. We'll have to get the inside scoop from our main man, Eric Carlson.
He was the man on the street, and he was in attendance for the mass, the big mass. Do you think it was a full like an hour and a half, like a full mass? You weren't doing communion for everybody, right? I mean, it looked like there was 30,000 people there.
That's a lot of help.
That's a lot of people to go through communion, Nick. I mean,
and if you pass that basket around,
whoa, baby doll,
that basket,
the Catholics were licking their chops at that offering.
Yeah,
it's a long offering song, by the way.
I wonder
what are you playing for that offering song? Because that's got to at least be 4 or 5 songs,
like Inagata Davida, something of that nature. That just kind of
Inagata Davida to get played at. Was Nancy there? Was Nancy playing?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I don't know if Nancy was there. I saw some pictures of some other folks. I think Ron Kittle was there.
Of course he was. He was giving away benches and things like that, I'm sure. For selling them.
He might have
or having a Leo's pizza like on his lap.
Now, did anybody slip in maybe some Comiskey cash in the basket? Just, this is defunct. They don't even use it anymore. Here you go. Here's some Comiskey cash.
That would be great. Well, not for them, because you're going right to hell if you're trying to pass off Comiskey cash for actual, dollar bills.
Straight to hell.
I mean, you cannot. St. Peter, you're showing up there and he's saying, listen, man, I was watching. You gave Comiskey cash at the big old mass on the south side. Boom. They pulled the trap door. And you are in burning to hell.
Big old mass. I was at the big old mass.
You don't want to mistake it for any other mass. That's big old mass.
Good on the Sox. Look, they're taking advantage of this situation.
Just like you should. Why don't we take advantage of this situation?
There was a wonderful message. And they had a beautiful day for it. And I am, it's still surreal to me. It is crazy. I don't care where you line up on the faith spectrum, zero faith, something, whatever. Just the idea that the Pope is not only the first American Pope, but from our area, the south side of Chicago, and is a Sox fan and was at one of the World Series games and put on a Sox cap the other day in the vet. It's just still that's crazy to me.
Do you think he addressed Andrew Vaughn during the message?
I wonder if he sent notes. Like when he became Pope, he was just like, "Look, here's a couple things. Now that I have this power, here's some things that you need to clean up. Okay, get Nancy back in there." For starters, and this Andrew Vaughn guy, he's not my kind of guy. He might Milwaukee. He looks like a Milwaukee guy. I'd get him over to Wisconsin if you can.
Oh, good on the Pope. Good on everybody that went. I saw some pictures. It looked like it was a great event. I'm sure they were selling.
Eric and his beautiful wife Rose. They had jerseys made.
Yeah.
Shout out to Grandstand, who does a fantastic job on all their merchandise and jerseys. They're just churning those Pope 14 jerseys out.
Oh, baby boy.
Cha-ching.
You know it.
Cha-ching. Yeah.
It's a cash register over there right now with the Pope, and something's got to excite people. So I want to know, okay, so they had everything going. Was there concessions?
That's good. Yeah, someone asked on social media if the craft cave was going to be open. And did people tailgate? I also wanted to know that.
Was there a pancake breakfast afterwards? I mean, I've been to a lot of Catholic masses. The good ones have a pancake breakfast afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it was in the afternoon, so it had to have been just kind of like
I didn't care
first dinner.
All I asked was
lunch,
pancake breakfast,
some sort of pancake giveaway. Yeah, I don't know. Hello, Trey. Welcome, buddy. Good to have you. talking about this Pope mass, which again, it's pretty crazy. I don't know. Well, I'll have to get some of the details from some folks that that went, and it looked like there was a certificate that they handed out to everybody. We'll talk to Eric and we'll get the details.
We really should have had him on tonight. I mean, that's bad on us. I put most of the blame on you. I'll take only a little bit of the blame, but we really should have Eric, a person that was at the facilities, to comment on what really happened. But
that's how you do. That's how you win awards, and you get the sources. You get them onto the podcast, and we're just speculating. But I feel like we
only
can
get better if we're honest with each other, Nick. And I'm being honest with you. I am slightly disappointed.
It was my fault.
You only.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I will. I'll take a note on that, and I'll do better. I will do better. I'm sorry to all the folks jumping in if they were looking to get firsthand accounts of
I'm surprised you didn't go. I'm surprised there wasn't a bobblehead. That's why.
Well, if there was a bobblehead, I would have been there Friday night, and just in a sleeping bag, just ready to go, man, with my head in a cooler. Sure, you ever hear those? There was a gentleman, and we're way off track right now. We'll get back on. I'll get us back on, but there was a gentleman that I started, you meet people when you live in Chicago, and somebody just started talking to me when I was on the Red Line one day, and was telling me that he was living, of course, on the streets and living under some viaduct somewhere, I don't know, off Kinsey. And he said, and I got to sleep with my head in a cooler every night so nobody tries to stomp on my head while I'm sleeping.
Okay.
All right, sir. Well, this is my stop. This is my stop. You take care of that cooler, and you just have a wonderful afternoon, and hope that bleeds into a great weekend.
So everybody's got problems. Some people have bigger problems than others, Nick, and I don't blame you. You don't feel bad that the show is off the rails. I never let it get on the rails. I obviously have taken this over, and you have an agenda of things you want to cover, and I've let us slip way off and go down a road that led you to a story about someone getting their head stomped, and to prevent it, they have to stick their head in a cooler. So
anytime someone tells me like, oh yeah, I'm gonna camp out or whatever because I got to be first in line for some kind of event, which I don't think people do as much, but that used to happen. For concert tickets or for whatever, people would stand in line for days sometimes if there was a device that was coming out, and I would just always say to them, make sure you got a cooler. Make sure you've got your head in the cooler, because
now then did you follow up with the whole story, or did you just say make sure you have a cooler and just leave them confused?
I always like to leave people guessing a little bit, like what in God's name is this guy talking about? Why do I need a cooler? Well, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out why
he really cares about me.
Well, and you don't want one of those styrofoam coolers. No, you got to get
that would not be good. You're stomping right through that.
Yeah,
I mean, Big John Stud's boots going right through that cooler.
Yeah. Big John Stud. All right. Well, hey, welcome to another rough week. Our White Sox started out white hot, taking the first one from the Astros, and then lost everything since. Our White Sox are 23-49, minus 62 run diff. Now, after 72 games last season, Pat, you want to guess where the Sox were in 2024? Where were the Sox after 72 games? How many wins?
Well, I know they didn't get their, what are they, 20? They've got 23 wins. I don't think they got their 23rd win last year until June 28th, if that is, or something around there. So they're ahead of schedule. They're trending above where they were this time last year. So it again, we've talked about it a lot last couple of weeks. It feels better, it looks better, things are different, they're performing at a different clip. I've really liked what I've seen, and again, it didn't go the way they wanted in Texas in the last couple of games in Houston, but I mean, there's a reason to tune into White Sox baseball right now. Not only can you actually find them on your TV if you have Comcast nowadays, unlike me, there's a reason to turn them on, and they're an interesting thing to watch right now. It's the team that's on the uptick, if you will. I think the bottoming out has finally happened. I think we can't get any lower than it's gotten, and now you have to look forward to, not a ton of wins, but you have to look forward to, the youth that's on this team to continue to help you win some ball games and be better than you were last year. So I can't answer that question 100%, Nick, but I know that they're ahead of pace from last year.
So they're at 23 wins after 72 games here this year. Last year, they were at 19 wins. They were 19 and 53. So that's, of course, a 4-game difference. Now, you just gave a lot of positivity, man. So when you say it's better this year, and I would tend to agree with you, but that's very subjective. And that is a lot of silver lining stuff, depending on what you're exactly speaking of. The feel as a fan, that's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. Okay. You and I have spoken a lot about, okay, there's dead weight. There's all those empty promises. They're gone. We feel like Venable just has a better command than Grafol. We like some of the younger guys that they're showcasing that will be a part of this team. Hopefully the next time that there's playoffs, that feels different. There's an edge. There's an energy. We like seeing the youth movement like we did maybe in 2017, 2018. Okay. If you think back to those years, if you want to, if you can stomach it, I know I felt, well, this team is crap, but I like Renteria. He's got these guys playing. Mm-hmm. Oh, these young guys are exciting. It's good that they're getting, more playing time and camaraderie with their teammates and there's chemistry being built. And, we'll get there. We'll get there. Here we are again in 2025, talking ourselves into this same thing. Is it going to go that way? Who knows? Okay. But as Sydney said, and I put it up in the chat, all these games just about here in this Texas series, we were there.
Yeah.
We were right there. And obviously a team that's got some offensive punch and different players, takes these games over the finish line and we win these games. We just don't have those horses right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a difference in terms of, what you're looking at from offensive attack versus what we've had over the last couple of years, which has been putrid. But you've got guys working walks. I think we're, it's still not fantastic. I think we're middle of the pack in maybe in baseball, but if not all of the American League in terms of where we're at, walks, which we've always been worst. I mean, the last 2 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, we've been the worst team in baseball in terms of taking a walk. Mm-hmm. Now we're at least improved to middle of the pack, which is fantastic, really, to be, at least 15th in the league in terms of walks instead of dead last. That's something. You're getting guys on base. You're able to manufacture some things and put good at bats together. You just don't have enough thump in your lineup to continually get the 3-run homer like a lot of teams live and die on these days. I mean, we talked about it, Nick, back in the day when the team was good. It was you hit 2 home runs a game and your chances of winning that game went up exponentially. We just don't have guys that can put the ball over the wall right now. So that to me is a small thing that you can look at and go, okay, that's different. That feels better because you're actually being able to, get guys on base. You don't have enough thunder in your lineup to, drive in a lot of runs right now. So that again, it feels different because it is different. There's statistical evidence to show that this team is different and it's built differently than it has been, and maybe a philosophy that's actually is resonating with the group more so than it has in past. So it's encouraging. And I was sitting back thinking, I knew we're going to be recording at some point this weekend, and some point being the same time as it is every weekend, Sunday at 9:15. You just say stupid things. You ever just say stupid things and you go, that was really stupid. Why would I say at some point?
I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
Every blasted week. But anyway, I was thinking to myself, at what point do we look at Chris Getz and give him credit? And we say, wow, he's actually done something. We were very critical of Chris Getz coming in and
coming off season.
And doing something he's never done and not really being fantastic at the job he held previously and just handed the reins of general manager. He's done some things that you would say that's acceptable. I wouldn't say it's been fantastic, but he's made some shrewd signings and brought people in and seemingly done some good things as the general manager of the Chicago White Sox, including getting rid of Andrew Vaughn, which none of us thought that you could probably do and get anything for him, whether what they got for him is going to be worth it or not. You got him out of your organization. I think that's something.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point. I think the bar was kind of low. It was definitely low by the time Hahn and Williams left, and all the garbage that came out of that relationship of Williams and Hahn with Jerry there, and that triangle of horror, and who was able to
episode name the Triangle of Horror.
Triangle of Horror. Who could deal with who and who was speaking to who and who you had to go through to get other things done. And it seemed like Hahn wanted out a long time ago. We know Williams wanted to get out a while ago, and Jerry wouldn't let it happen. And obviously Jerry, vetoed a lot of things and put his own playbook in. So Getz obviously has that same thing he's got to deal with. Now this Ishbia thing is really bubbling, and that's kind of exciting. But the Crochet deal, to be determined, but comparing it to the Cease situation, as we've mentioned before, wow. Okay, maybe you learn from your mistakes, but it's kind of tough to also get blamed terribly on the injury. Like Drew Thorpe is hurt, and I don't know what the future is for Drew Thorpe. That Cease deal was not good. It's not turning out to be very good at all. Crochet, I'm still really upset that we had to get rid of Crochet, because I think he's going to be a Cy Young guy. He is going to be a stud for many, many years. But right now we're seeing Mydroth and Teal and maybe more to come this season give us promise.
Yeah.
And that's more than what we had from Cease. But that's still not enough, right? We need to actually see impactful stretches. We need to see winning seasons. We need to see something out of it, and time will tell.
Yeah.
But I think what we're saying is it's trending in the right direction, or at least it feels like it from our fan perspective.
It does feel like it's trending in the right, on the right path anyway. I mean, there was talk this week on the radio of, can this team win 60 games now? There's an opportunity there. They're on pace, I think, to win 54, 55 games, something like that at this point. Now that was, I think, earlier in the week.
I might be getting around to golf then.
Oh, well, I'd be happy, glad, and thrilled to take you golfing. Because I know I'm just going to gamble with you on the course and win all that money back anyway, Nick. So,
how
do you like that smack talk?
Well, that's going to be post Galena. I'm going to be all well oiled. So I'd be careful. I'd be real careful.
I'd be concerned if I were you, is what I'm going to tell you. But
consider myself warned.
I mean, to think about this team winning at a 50 to 60 game clip after last year, I mean, I'll say a very dramatic improvement. And
that would be,
we're still looking at probably 100 loss team and which is
Sure.
in all retrospect is deplorable. I mean, you don't want to. Nobody wants to root for that type of a team, but when you're looking where you started from, basically the depths of the worst of the worst. I mean, just to crawl yourself back into just a really bad team. I mean, that's pretty good. Is that crazy? Am I an insane person?
It all depends on how you look at it. I've talked to some Sox fans that say, I don't care. I don't care about the hope. I don't care about, the sizzle. I don't care that it feels like it's going in the right direction. Results are results. They're still losers. And I don't see, wake me up when they're actually winning games and they're competitive and they're spending money. It's still garbage. And I don't know why anybody's paying for it. I don't know nobody wants to watch it. I don't know why anybody wants to talk about it. I still run into those people. And what are you going to say? It's like, that's your perspective. I understand, results oriented, where I'm trying to see, I don't even know if you want to call it moral victories, but just I'm trying to take the 30,000 foot approach. And maybe I didn't do so much of that, in years past, because I was so aggravated, especially, how badly they botched the Harper and Machado thing. And, everything that kind of spun out of control from that and didn't spend, properly. I mean, money was spent, but it just wasn't allocated the right way. I'm trying to take a bigger, okay, this is different. This does feel a little different. There's a lot of new players in place. So I'm still in the weeds with them, and I'm not so hung up on the wins and losses. You can't be, I think, if you're really hung up on the losses. I mean, you're gonna be dead. If last year didn't kill you,
said today is if you're hung up on the losses, you'll be dead. And peace be with you.
Here comes the basket. Inagata Davida, please, if you could cue that up. I mean, if last year, if you're still hanging on, you're in the ground this year. If you're really hanging, and I used to be that way, where I would, every single loss just took years off my life, and I couldn't, So I'm trying to see the bigger picture. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it's the way I'm approaching it.
Yeah.
And getting rid of Vaughn, I thought was the right move, and getting rid of Luis Robert Jr. It's sad. It's going to be sad to see him go. All of the stuff that we were promised and could have been, and it's just not working out. Change of scenery, maybe a different type of club, somewhere else. It's just not happening, and we're not going to be winning with him. We're definitely losing with him. And I don't know what the Sox are going to get returned for Luis Robert Jr. If you saw what happened with Boston and San Francisco with that Devers deal, whew, man, which is insane. I don't know what you're getting for Luis Robert Jr. now.
Well, who knows? I mean, that's going to be obviously what we're looking at a lot over the next several weeks as we approach the trade deadline. But again, we're just going to be stuck in this pattern of, because he had done some things recently, a couple of hits here or there. And, so every time I look at the box score, I go, oh, okay, he did something. That's good for us. We appreciate that. Hopefully he does that at more of a high clip, but it just hasn't been enough. And it's really unfortunate. I go back and forth and think, well, he hasn't really had the support around him. He's not protected in the lineup. He's not this and he's not that. But as I mentioned before, this team gets on base better than it has in the past. So there's people on base for him to do something, and he continually fails, right? There's opportunities out there for him to kind of pad his stats and not come up, when it's just a clean inning. There's traffic on the base pads in front of him at times, and he just doesn't cash in. And I mean, I look at it a lot like Josh does. You look at it with this team and go, less blowouts, less shutouts, less embarrassing fielding, A manager with a brain and running the bases is improved. I mean, those are the things I look at, from a full team spectrum and go, okay, that's why it feels better. But from a Luis Robert Jr. perspective, it's like, I get it. It can't be easy when you're the one guy that the entire pitching staff has to look at and go, this is the only guy we have to stop. If we can stop him, we really shouldn't have a problem beating this team. I get it. There's a lot of pressure on him for that, but it's not like there's nothing happening around there for him to cash in on. Yeah. He just has failed in a lot of situations.
I'm going to circle back to Luis Robert Jr. in a moment here. So the Brewers get Andrew Vaughn and cash. We got right-handed pitcher Aaron Civale, who threw on Sunday, and not horrible. 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. He's a vet. He has gone 40-37 with a 4.06 ERA. And 596 strikeouts and 122 career starts over 7 major league seasons with Cleveland, Tampa, and Milwaukee. So this is a guy that's been around, and we need some pitching, and that's what we went after. Vaughn, only 27 years old, slashed 189, 218, 314 with 5 dingers and 19 ribbies in 48 games before being optioned to AAA on May 23rd. He, of course, was selected by the Sox with the number 3 overall pick in the 2019 draft. Spent essentially his minor leagues in Schaumburg because of the whole pandemic and things being really strange everywhere, including AA and AAA. He was jacked around, left field, right field, kind of man without a home, but they thought the bat was going to play. And this is what this was a comment from CBSSports.com mock draft when Andrew Vaughn was drafted. This was a quote. The righty hitting, righty throwing first base profile is historically awful, but Vaughn has enough bat to make it work. And, a Golden Spikes winner. I don't think anybody, I know I wasn't terribly alarmed at all about, like, why are you taking Andrew Vaughn? Why would you take this type of player? It's like, man, all right, we got some offense coming.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude can hit, award winning, and everybody said it.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a lot of horrible draft picks and horrible development. When you look at Carson Fulmer and Nick Madrigal and Zach Collins and on and on. We talk about this regularly, as I know other Sox fans do in their circles. Vaughn had some 18. I don't know if he ever hit over 20 home runs. He had a couple of those seasons, but it was never what we hyped it up to be. He was supposed to be, right, over a long period of time. You call that a bust? Do you call that one of the worst drafts in Sox history? I don't know about that, but it sure feels like just a bust to me, Pat.
Yeah, for us anyway. I mean, who's to say what could happen with the rest of his career? He's still a young guy. I mean, he may go on and do and still have a pretty productive major league career, here with the Brewers. But for us as a White Sox, definitely a bust. I think we probably look at him as a prospect and go, just from the pure standpoint of the power, right? Because you go, oh, with all the accolades that he had in terms of he's a can't miss, he's going to just mash, he's going to just hit. I think we all just kind of assumed that he would be a power hitter, and I think a lot of us, probably projected him to be a Paul Konerko type of player. Well, Paul Konerko hit not regularly, but he had several seasons of 40+ home runs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Paul Konerko was
he could rake, man.
Was a power hitter, quite frankly. And I think it was maybe a little unfair for us to just assume that this guy is going to come in and be that, because 40 home runs nowadays is something special. I mean, you're not that doesn't happen in this era, in the non-steroids era. 40 home runs is kind of an anomaly. It's only for the elite of the elite. But I think we just assumed, well, this right-handed hitting first baseman with a beautiful swing, we've seen that before. 40 home runs. Let's just put it on the bank, right? And I think maybe we were a little unfair. But that doesn't excuse the fact that he just didn't hit regardless, right? We were hoping for the big power numbers. He just didn't do much of anything, right? I could have lived with Andrew Vaughn if he was just a doubles machine. He wasn't a singles hitter. He wasn't a duck snort hitter. He was a zero hitter.
Yeah, if he would just, when he was up with guys on, instead of beating it into the ground, and if he was a little bit much more clutch, and he got more league-wide buzz, where he's pushing himself as an alternate to the all-star team. Again, that's tough when you're not getting regular playing time, I think. And I know we're making some excuses. He dealt with some back issues. In his time, it just needed to happen sooner, and it just wasn't. He just seemed like he couldn't get the wheels going. He couldn't get the consistent output that was necessary. But with him being gone now, Luis Robert Jr. is the last man standing from the 2021 division championship team that got bounced by Houston. That's kind of crazy to me. Not only was it just 4 short years ago, we had won the division. Obviously, it didn't end the way we wanted it. That whole rebuild was a failure, that era. But one man is left now. And if you look at the list, and I'm going to read it to you, of essentially the starting lineup from game 1 in that ALDS against Houston, then I'll give you the 4 starters in that series. Where are they? Yeah. What are they doing? It really is where are, this is what needed to happen. I think at the Pope Mass, there needed to be some sort of like exorcism, or kind of like Tim Anderson, pray for us. Yohan Moncada, pray for us. Like, go over all of these guys that have left the organization that, help us somehow. Like Tim Anderson. Okay, here's your starting lineup.
Lord, hear our prayer.
Adam Engel, pray for us. Here's your starting lineup from the Houston game 1. Tim Anderson, he's gone. Okay. He got DFA'd by the Angels. He's out of baseball. I don't think anybody's picked him up. Yohan Moncada. Okay. He's with the Angels. I think he's hurt right now. I think he's on the IL. If you're shocked,
look at the shock on my face. I just can't even believe it.
That's a whole mass.
Well, let me guess. Anything from the waist down, I'm sure that's where the injury's at.
Lower body. Yeah.
It's always a lower body. It's a lower, his whole lower, he should just be like an animatronic, like make him into some type of cyborg, take off his lower half. You're not a Star Wars fan, Nick, but yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things that can be done. Darth Maul. I mean, it was chopped in half. Came back and had an animatronic like lower half. Boom, better than ever. You wouldn't know, but I'm telling you,
Moncada's a candidate for that. Abreu. So Abreu was hitting third in that game. Abreu gone, has been gone.
Well, he just celebrated his 78th birthday.
He was at Mass. He had the anointing of the sick.
This is
Grandal, Yasmani Grandal. Gone.
He wasn't at Mass because he hit a home run and do the devil horns around his ears. So he was not attending Mass today.
He was Yasmani Grandal was with the Pirates maybe last year, but he's from what I understand, not in baseball right now. Of course, Luis Robert Jr., who was hitting 5th in that game one. He is the lone man standing. Eloy Jimenez, he started in the outfield and left field that game. Gone out of baseball, I think, unless he's in AAA, I think, with Tampa's organization. But he hasn't
or he's
seen
up
the
in a
big
net somewhere. One or the other.
Fishing accident gone wrong. Eloy Jimenez washed up on shore yesterday. Gavin Sheets. Now, Gavin Sheets has been playing with the San Diego Padres. He obviously he's still kicking it, but he got a lot of playing time in that Houston series. Gavin Sheets, they were so bullish on that guy.
Very bullish.
Adam Engel, he was your starting right fielder. Gone, hasn't been in
Remember
baseball.
Adam Engel, we loved Adam Engel.
Oh, he was man of steel. Yeah.
I would take it Adam Engel right now, wouldn't you?
Well, if you are pining for an Adam Engel, you're going to be really missing this gentleman. Lurie Garcia was your starting second baseman. And
somewhere
Garcia,
there's a almost 75-year-old man that you just warm the cackles of his heart right now. I mean, he's just Dick Hester is just a happy man right now that you brought him up.
Lurie Garcia, I think, was with Atlanta's organization a couple of years ago, but he has not seen MLB in a while.
Unbelievable.
Andrew Vaughn, he started game 2, but really saw limited action in that series. Very limited action. So Andrew Vaughn gone. Luis Robert Jr., your last man standing from the 2021 Chicago White Sox. Now, here are your 4 starters in that Astro series. Lance Lynn, retired. Lucas Giolito, struggling with Boston. Really struggling with Boston. Cease, not lighting it up, but hanging in there with San Diego. Looks like, if you've seen a picture of Cease, at least what he looked like at the beginning of the season, he looked like when Ron Burgundy lost his job and was just hanging out in the bar and just really let himself go there. But I kind of liked it. I was like, that's an edge for Dylan Cease. I like the mustache. Obviously I'm partial to that, but I like that kind of woodsman. Could have been living under a viaduct is sleeping in the cooler, his head in a cooler type.
Keep your head in the cooler. You never know.
If you didn't know Dylan Cease was an actual MLB pitcher, and I saw him walking around, I'd say, "Hey, friend, make sure you got a cooler tonight. I don't know where you're hanging your hat. I don't know what viaduct or where you're at, but make sure you got a cooler, sir." Carlos Rodon was your other starter, and he's doing himself pretty well with the Yankees. They got that facial hair situation all figured out. He's been able to have his beard again. So Rodon's still kicking.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing you run down that list because, and it's not like this just happened today where it's like, okay, 3 or 4 years later, it's like, well, okay, they've aged out or they've plateaued and come back down to earth. I mean, we thought that all of those guys that you mentioned, we'd still be rooting for in 2024 and rooting for to be perennial playoff contenders. I mean, it is a little bit.
I mean, look at Moncada. Moncada came up in, I think, 2017. I was there. I was there for that game. So, this would have been his 8th year in the league, I guess. We all thought it was going to go absolutely so much different. Abreu, I don't think Abreu was still going to be on the 2025.
Probably not. He would have probably been, he'd have been, he'd be going around Major League Baseball and all the teams would be giving a rocking chair type of tour.
Maybe last year or this year would have been like his farewell tour.
Yeah.
Grandal, he wouldn't have been on this team, and I didn't expect him to be doing beyond that contract. Jimenez, absolutely. I thought Eloy Jimenez was going to be slugging for the White Sox for many, many years. Just an absolute pillar, a force, a Mr. Danger. That obviously didn't happen. Gavin Sheets, how I felt about Gavin Sheets. I didn't think he was going to be around that much longer, especially with the way and the type of positions that he was playing. Engel and Garcia, I didn't think were long, obviously, for the White Sox, but you need those types of position players. You need those fillers. You need those bench guys, those utility guys. Vaughn, of course, I thought was going to be a major player. Now, in terms of the arms, I mean, Giolito and Cease were the guys that I thought, okay, they'll be on this rotation for a while. These guys are going to be just anchors for us. And look, it just goes to show you, like, celebrating. Here we are in this 20th anniversary of the 05 team. People are sick of talking about it. Absolutely disgusted. Here we go again, just peddling out the 05 team because it happened. It really happened. And I'm sorry. We can celebrate this. I'm okay celebrating it, especially in the 20th anniversary. It wasn't something that was supposed to happen. It wasn't prognosticated. This was actually a thing that occurred. We were witness to it. So we're going to celebrate a thing that really happened, not all this other garbage that what could have been. It's just sad.
Well, it's that sums up the whole fan experience for us. It's just sad. It's crazy when we think about celebrating this, 20th anniversary of that team, and that's all we cling to and can cling to. There's so many parallels as a Bears fan that you can draw. I mean, I remember going to a game in 1995 when the Bears celebrated their 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl, which didn't seem at that time like it was that. I mean, 10 years, okay, that didn't seem like it was that big of a gap. And to me now, it doesn't seem like that long ago, celebrating that 10-year anniversary. And then 10 years later, I was at the 20-year. I was at these two games. It's just very random, not chosen, but they were celebrating that team. And there was a halftime ceremony with players and ex-players, obviously ex-players coming out on the field, and there was they weren't still playing, and it didn't feel weird at the time. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel, but obviously I was much younger, and you kind of go, okay, this is all fun and it's great, and no big deal that we haven't won in 20 years. It's hard to win. But
was 05 the year, Pat, that they went to the Super Bowl? Was that 06?
06. They went in 06. So, it felt really, like, okay, well, we'll go to the World Series, we win that, boom, we go, and my team is now going to the Super Bowl. It was a great time. What a time to be alive. Yeah. And you think this is going to happen regularly, but it doesn't. So, I don't know. Celebrating these anniversaries is wonderful, but we definitely need more of them. We need more anniversaries to celebrate, and it's a shame that there's these gaps in between successes. So
there are gaps. There are definitely gaps.
But now, I guess my point is, as I get older, it does feel different than it was when I was younger. It's like, okay, well, that was all fun and it was great, and I'll remember this, and it's still fun and great, but you get a little bit more bitter, I guess, as you get older. It's like, I want that again. Why can't I have that again? It maybe because Father Time says you're running out of time. You may not have too many bites of the apple here.
Well, from 85 to 95, I mean, you weren't and I wasn't ingrained in the nuances of the organization, of what they were doing, what they weren't doing, why they weren't able to get back. We know now historically how things went and how things were botched and what could have been, what should have been, and injuries and all this other stuff. When you're older, you're more tuned in, right? You're agonizing over all the details, that 10-year stretch. When you're younger, it's just like you're not really paying attention. So then 10 years comes around, you're like, oh, okay. Well, that was fun. I'm sure that'll happen again. When you're older, you know too much. Damn it. You know too much. And
our lives have changed so much. I mean, I always look back on, I didn't really start consuming sports talk radio until 2005. I wasn't watching a lot. I read, actually, believe it or not, it's a good thing you're sitting down. I actually used to read the sports section, and mostly for White Sox news, in the Sun Times. I would get a Sun Times a lot of time and read. I don't read much anymore, Nick. It's a shocking thing.
You don't have the time.
But I really don't have the time. But now you read an article here or there on the internet, or you're listening and watching the sports talk radio, or you're watching something on YouTube that somebody has a comment on, or somebody's video on Twitter, or whatever it is. You're consuming so much, and it's so much helps form your opinion on things and educates you, and it can be a wonderful thing, and also can be a very negative thing to kind of really force you to think one way or the other. And it's like, now I know, okay, this is how the sausage is being made. They really screwed this up. How dare they mess with my team, when before it was just all about the the romanticization of the team. Is that a word? Romanticization?
Was it, do you feel like it was a word when you used to read a lot?
See, this is what smart people that do read say to stupid people that don't read.
Does it sound like a word?
People that are really, really bright individuals that are on the fast track of education. That's what you do. Thank you. You could just give me a lifeline and said, we'll just rush past it. Let Pat, we'll help Pat out. No, just like, well, we're gonna rub my nose in it.
Do you think, Pat, that, I mean, I got a feeling like ownership and front office brass, they loved that time when there wasn't as much media.
Oh God, yes.
Because they were able to do whatever they wanted behind closed doors,
unchecked.
And there were a lot of beat reporters, and Howard, talked about, put it up here in the stream. Papers were, good Lord, what papers were back then to what they are, if you can find one. I mean, it's a joke. Everything is how that business and industry has gone. It's so sad. We're getting our news in ways that I could have never comprehended just, when we were in college doing journalism and communications and broadcasting. So there's so much under the microscope, and there's so much, all these pundits and blasting things out on social media and breaking news and uncovering things and gotcha journalism. I mean, there was journalism. Don't get me wrong. There were some great beat reporters that were on the case, man. But I feel like not everything was at your disposal. And I feel like you were able to kind of hide in plain sight as an organization.
Oh yeah. I mean, you had your obligation to, maybe as an ownership. What did you do? Maybe once or twice a year, you're addressing the media as a group. You probably had your people that you really wanted to leak a story to, or get something out to the media to let it speak on your behalf, whatever that was, or wherever you did that. But you could really just kind of go unchecked, for the most part, and do what you wanted to do. And quite frankly, you could be one of the worst teams in baseball in terms of your organization for many, many years, and nobody's going to really call you out on it. I mean, I'm sure you saw this, Nick. Now, this was I think it was a players survey that went out. I mean, the White Sox were ranked 29th out of 30 teams in terms of, what Major League Baseball players thought of the organization, with obviously a lot of other comments and criteria that went into that. But I mean, that kind of stuff wasn't coming out back in the day. There was no player survey or that was a social media driven type of thing where the players had a voice on what they thought about the rest of the league. It was your everyday beat reporters talking about the game from last night. Maybe there was a piece that people would write about, their a column, about what their kind of their opinions were, but mostly it was what's going on, who's coming up, what's happening with this person and their injury, and what happened in last night's game. That's what it was about. Not this other fluff that's out there nowadays.
Yeah, but it drives clicks, man, and it's all what it's about. It's just getting clicks and getting that engagement, and even like looking at a podcast, those have gone completely different. I mean, it's not the I appreciate and I love everybody listening to the audio, and we're going to continue obviously putting the audio out there. But it's such a YouTube, business now where your podcast, unless you're getting, thousands and thousands of views on YouTube, it's like, what's the visual aspect? How can I hook somebody in like the first 3 to 5 seconds? And that's not, I don't know. I don't find that to be very enjoyable. But that's, how you're generating, money. How do you get your advertisement dollars? How do you maintain viewers? How do you keep them watching your thing, whatever that is, so you can generate and show that data to get that revenue coming in from advertisers?
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously a lot different than it was back in 2005 or 1985, but we spoke about people breaking news and sources and social media. There was some news being broken earlier this week on a guy that the Sox promoted, Grant Taylor. Might want to remember that name if you don't know it already. He's got a cannon for an arm, just 23 years old. Moved to the Birmingham bullpen last month and has been a late inning force for the Barons with 9 straight scoreless appearances, including back-to-back games on June 6th and 7th. Struck out 18 against 1 walk and 9 1/3 innings of relief, where he figures to be used by the White Sox. And we did see that. For the season, Taylor has a 1.01 ERA in 15 games with 37 strikeouts, 11 walks in his minor league work. This move to the bullpen and early arrival to the White Sox were discussed back in spring training. A right lat issue limited Taylor, who was coming off Tommy John surgery when he was selected in the 2nd round of the 2023 draft. And that's really what you have to do these days, Pat, is you got to draft somebody that's already had Tommy John or that's recovering from Tommy John, because everybody's going to get it. So just get somebody that's already had it out of the way. So a homegrown talent, Grant Taylor, Scott Merkin on that report. And James Fox was, I think, the first to break the news. James Fox, good on him, and good for future Sox. That's awesome. And welcome, Grant Taylor. Excited to see what he can bring. He's got some weapons, man. So far in a Sox uniform, he's got 3 innings under his belt, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk.
All right. Well, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah.
But again, that's what it's about, right? So it's watching these guys as they continue.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be more, right? There's going to be the parade, if you will, of players from Charlotte throughout the rest of the year. And just, we'll see what they can do. And can the kids play? We shall see.
We're going to see. I mean, Noah Schultz, he got moved up to AAA recently. So we could see Noah Schultz after All-Star break. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, get used to not knowing a lot about these guys and just enjoying their development. And there's going to be bumps in the road. And some guys may, take a little bit faster of a track. Some guys will be a little bit slower. It's going to be some guys that get sent back down and brought back up. So, I mean, we're on the roller coaster ride right now, Nick, with a lot of these young guys, and hopefully everybody can stomach it. It's hard, especially as you and I continue to age. Going on a roller coaster, if you can fit on one, I can't usually most of the time, but you have to have the stomach for a roller coaster. And it's hard after you pass the age of 40. To really kind of have that equilibrium. So, but we'll do the best we can.
I was at the park maybe a month or so ago with my son, and I got on a swing, and I almost, I had to lay down. I was all kinds of dizzy, and I mean, we're talking about 3 minutes on a swing, and I was starting to get nauseous and lightheaded. I was like, I was like Mr. Raging Bull. I was, I'm standing in line at Millennium Force to get that first car at Cedar Point years ago.
I mean, that's Mr. Roller back in college was Raging Bull.
It's true. It absolutely is true. And here I am, getting my stomach in knots from a swing at a park.
Just in the fetal position. There's Vinny like tapping his father on the head, like
just with a stick.
Why don't you want to get back on the swing?
Dad, it was just a swing. It was just a swing, man. Anyway, I've got a quote of the week in a moment here. We'll end on a positive note with the quote of the week. I do want to pick your brain really quick before we say goodbyes, Pat. St. Louis is on deck here. Do you guys have any family bets that go on when it's Sox Cardinals?
Well, I'll just there's no family bets that happen in this house. I'll just be I'll just play every dirty trick I can to get my children to root for who I want them to root for. I mean, whoever sides with dad gets, an extra bowl of ice cream. Actually, what happens is, Nick, when they ask for ice cream, my wife is really strict on the, this is what it says on the carton. This is the portion. This is the portion that it should be. And I don't subscribe to the portions on the side of an ice cream.
Yeah. I eyeball it. I usually eyeball it.
It's more of like a, how much can you fit in the bowl? Like, how can you pack it all in?
Yep.
Fit in the bowl. That's what you should, if you could actually scoop it out with the bowl, that's what the portion is. So if you're going to root for the White Sox and you want a whole scoopable bowl of ice cream, like the whole damn thing, then boom, that's who you're rooting for. If you want mom's version of what ice cream is, the thimble, a little shot glass of ice cream. Okay, that's fine. You root for the Cardinals, but if you want to live life on the edge and have fun, crying out loud,
go Raging Bull style, and an edible bowl too is what we really need.
Wow, now you've blown my mind. Why are you talking
like
about
a waffle cone? But that's a bowl. So you finish your ice cream. The waffle cone is pretty absorbent, and then you've got that tasty treat to just woof down after your.
Now, normal people would say, well, why would you do that, Nick? Because, I mean, you're just going to have this big soggy mess. Those are people that don't eat their ice cream fast enough.
That's 100% true. That they're walking away from it. They're probably, streaming something. You focus up, man. Take care of business so you can get to that soaked waffle cone bowl.
We've got so many great ideas over the years, Nick.
I'm telling you.
It's amazing that neither one of us are multimillionaires.
It's just too much time dedicated to this amazing team. That's the problem.
It's the podcast that gets in the way.
It's just this podcast gets in the way of all my great ideas. A lot of summer eating ideas is what I've got out for you. But here is, folks, and I thank you so much for being with us. This is really, this is a labor of love, and we love it. We love talking White Sox, and we appreciate you being with us on Sunday nights or wherever how you consume it. The audio, we love it. We've been doing this for 7 seasons now. You can find the audio absolutely everywhere. Subscribe to the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Here is your quote of the week. This is out of the Sun Times from Vinny Duber. It's good to see him writing again and writing about the White Sox. This is Grady Sizemore talking, MLB coach. I'm sorry, Grady Sizemore talking on Chase Mydroth. He brings a little edge to the top of the lineup, Grady Sizemore said. The guy is quiet all day, but he gets into the box and he's very animated. There's a little edge he plays with. The guy feeds off that. I don't really hear him talk much. He's always smiling. Then in the box, he looks like an animal. He's very animated. He's screaming. He's yelling. It's fun to see. I encourage those guys to play with that edge and be themselves and not change who they are just because they're in the situation of being at the top of the order in the big leagues. Use everything you have to your advantage. End quote. And that is just... I've got to pay a little bit more attention when I'm watching Chase Mydroth. I don't remember him just screaming like a rabid beast when
was Grady Sizemore reading out of a book of erotica or something? Like, would he like all of a sudden like change and like screaming and animalistic type things? Good for Chase Mydroth, and I didn't know or see it coming, but
yeah. Chase Mydroth has been taking a page out of the Liver Kings playbook there. Primal Chase Mydroth. But good to hear from MLB coach Grady Sizemore that he can give some of his time and talk about Mydroth.
Away from coaching. Get away from doing what his business card says.
Exactly.
I am coach.
Yeah. I am coach. So, Pat, I feel better. This was wonderful. I hope this ends your Father's Day. I don't know if you have any other responsibilities, but this has been great.
This has been fantastic. Again, happy Father's Day to you, Nick, and all the fathers out there. What a great day. And it's back to the grind tomorrow. Yeah. So I hope we enjoyed it because all the flowers are done.
Try to end on a positive note with my primal warrior quote here, and you just had to talk about everything's dead. All right. Hey, folks, once again, thank you so much for Pat Hester. I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.